Another political story, or at least a historical story of note that emerged this week, David, former Justice Sandra Day O'Connor, the fifth vote in Bush v. Gore to determine the election of 2000, said maybe it was a bad idea for the court to take that case. And a lot of commentary, now you tell us. Yeah. But 25 years later, significance of her comment, you think?
I think that there is an element of Greek tragedy in Sandra Day O'Connor and this case. And I say that without some sort of moral judgment, meaning from her own perspective. She did help decide that case. Jeffrey Toobin covers this very well in his book, The Nine. And then for a series of sort of accidents, she retired before she was quite ready. She would have stayed on the court.
Largely because of the illness of her husband.
The illness of her husband, but then he died very quickly, and Rehnquist died, and she didn't want to retire at the same time as him. And had things been just a little different, I think Sandra Day O'Connor might still even be on the court or have just retired. She helps decide the case for Bush. She retires in a way that, in retrospect, she regrets. She's replaced by Samuel Alito. Now, Sandra Day O'Connor's a Republican, but she's a moderate Republican, and Samuel Alito is a very conservative Republican. And I think it's clear that in many ways she regrets that vote in some ways because she regrets what happened afterwards, even apart from the legal questions in there.
You mean the fact that a Republican president then was able to named a more conservative justice?
I think she would have been happy with a Republican replacement for her, but not one as conservative as Samuel Alito, who on affirmative action, who on voting rights, who on all sorts of things, including probably abortion, would vote differently from Sandra Day O'Connor.
That's an interesting perspective. Ruth, you've written often about the court.
I have. Justice O'Connor, better late than never. She's right. The court should not have intervened in the case. Illustrative that decision that it issued, which it said at the time was kind of only good for these set of facts, has never been cited as precedent by the court. Again, we may well, at the end of the day, if the court hadn't intervened, ended up with George W. Bush being president after the ballots were counted. That would have been better for the country, and even more than better for the country, because the country actually to some extent got over it. It would have been better for the court, because the court tarnished itself, made itself look like a political institution that was responding to the political urgencies of the moment rather than reading the Constitution a little bit more remotely and calmly.